Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm joined by Joyce saying, Joyce, it has been so long since we last spoke.
It's been what? It feels like longer than 2 weeks.
It feels like,
but
honestly,
it's only been
yes.
2 weeks.
It's only been 2 weeks, but it feels like a month because we've both been so busy. You had a great time. I saw you tweeting all about the U.S. Open. I know you went to many a match.
Yes, this is what I do every year. And, we did very different things the past week, but we're both connected by tennis.
Yes, because I was at the Telluride Film Festival. Very fortunate. Got to see King Richard, my new favorite movie. We could talk all about this. I think we should save that for the end because I think right now we're going to talk about the Creative Arts Emmys. Yes, the Emmys are still happening. It hasn't even happened yet. The show
we're going to force you to wait for Oscar talk.
Yes. The Creative Arts Emmys are this weekend. I think there's 3 ceremonies over the 2 days. And then the Emmys are next, not this coming Sunday, the following Sunday, hosted by Cedric the Entertainer on CBS. We're going to just do Creative Arts Emmys today. We'll save our final Emmy predictions and discussions for next week after we see how this weekend shakes out. So yeah, I think we could go through these, Joyce. I updated my picks last week, I think.
My most recent update was when I switched back to Alexis Bledel like 2 weeks ago, I think. So nice. I will definitely probably make some changes before Saturday.
Yeah, so if you're listening,
you can convince me to change some things right now.
Yeah, if you're watching this and you're like, wait, Joyce didn't pick that. That's because
I lied. I'm a huge liar, guys.
She's a huge liar, and she's totally hedging her bets, which is a great way to play. You got to play the game. You got to hedge your bets. We could start there, though. Drama guest actress category. I think I had switched to Alexis Bledel, but now I'm back on McKenna Grace. I'm just going to stick with her and ride that one down.
Okay. Yeah, I had McKenna right after noms, and then we talked about this, 5 years ago, where I felt like Alexis could be this year's Ron Cephas-Jones. So that's why I switched back to her. I don't really feel like anyone is a front runner in this category. And I mean, the other nominees are Claire Foy for The Crown, Sophia Canedo for Ratchet, and the one and only Felicia Rashad for This Is Us, who, if she wins, wow.
Would it be an incredible PR coup if she won?
Yeah. But McKenna's in first and are odd still, right? I think.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. I feel like, for all of the, great or inspired acting wins that we've gotten on the main ceremony under this current system, I feel like they're still very lazy in the guest categories, as they always have been. And people can win for a 90-second cameo and stuff. And both McKenna and Lexis had material this season. Claire Foy was in an episode of The Crown for 4 minutes reading a speech. So I guess if The Crown is gonna dominate, she can win her second Emmy.
That's what I was gonna say. So a couple of things. I just checked. They're actually neck and neck, McKenna Grace and Alexis Bledel in the
It's because I changed back to Alexis. It's all because of me.
So they're dead. They're in a dead heat, and by combined, McKenna still has a slim lead over Alexis according to our users. I would wonder, and I think what you said is true. I think if Claire Foy wins, that's a sure sign to me that The Crown might actually win 4 acting Emmys, because it's just people are just gonna check off all the boxes for The Crown.
It can win all 6.
Yeah, because that's the next category, and actually he is supposed to win Charles Dance, and I have him winning, so it could win 6 acting Emmys. And I think if they do this category, I don't know how they're going to order the show, but if this ends up being first and you see Claire Foy win, good night. I think they're going to just clean house, and I could see it happening just because if Alexis Bledel and McKenna Grace are so close, will they vote split enough to kind of push Claire to the top?
I mean, Handmaids has won this category 3 times, 3 years in a row, kicked off by Alexis 4 years ago. So, and it's overcome. Oh, has it overcome vote split? No. Yeah, it has. Yeah, because when Samira Wiley won, she overcame a vote split. So I feel like she can, especially if it's Alexis has never missed a nomination for this show. Even Elizabeth Moss has. So I feel like they could just default to her too. But I feel like, the McKenna nomination, it's kind of proof that they watch the season, along with its, huge explosion in nominations this year for the show. And I don't know, I feel like the buzz on her is kind of like leveled off on McKenna, and her big episode was the premiere, so which feels like eons ago too.
Yes, that's I think both very fair points. But I'm sticking with her. I'm going to go down with the ship on McKenna. Drama guest actor, you just mentioned Charles Dance leading in the odds. I have him winning. I had switched to Timothy Oliphant, but I was just like, I'm going.
You went back.
I'm going by turning my back on Timothy Oliphant. How about yourself? Do you have Timothy winning, or are you going to?
I still have Tim, and sometimes like you get to the end of the line and then you're just like, do I switch to like the favorite who like probably will win, or do I just go down with this ship?
I think you should. Here's why I think you should go down with the ship, because I specifically even though both of these shows came out 300 years ago and we're giving out Emmys for like the 1800s right now. I specifically remember who Timothy Oliphant played on The Mandalorian. If you gave me 3 guesses on who Charles Dance was on The Crown, I don't think I could get there. So while I still have him winning, and I know he was good on it because I remember being like, hey, Charles Dance, you're pretty good on The Crown. I have no idea who he played. I think he played, I honestly don't even remember, but I believe he gets blown up. Isn't that the episode, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So,
right?
So
on like the boat or whatever.
Yes.
Yes.
So this is a real time reason why, if you're going to not pick Charles Dance, it could be because The Crown is so big and broad and there's so much happening that maybe if you haven't seen it recently, you might not even remember what he does. But I surely know that Timothy Oliphant had the Boba Fett armor on in The Mandalorian. It's pretty easy to remember that.
And like everyone freaked the F out when he appeared.
Right. So
it's like he's playing a marshal again.
Yeah.
And
the episode is literally called The Marshal, I believe. So there's a lot of reasons there to say like the Oliphant performance and character is way stickier than Charles Dance, but I'm still sticking with Charles Dance. Going to go down with that too.
Yeah, like the thing is, I mean, I know like Carl Weathers is also here for Mando, and he's basically like a supporting character on the show.
Correct.
But I feel like still like Timothy is more memorable than Carl is on the show with that like one performance. And like Charles, like he had more stuff to do in season 3, and he wasn't nominated, and it kind of feels like the James Cromwell nomination for Succession last year, where like he wasn't nominated for season 1, when he had like a lot more material, and then like in season 2 of Succession he had like that one episode, and like that was it.
Mm-hmm. And that's fair.
He got in. I think I predicted him to win too, just because I'm like a Succession fan. And then Ron Cephas Jones won.
Man, I can't wait to talk to you about Succession when that comes back. I'm so excited.
I know. We need screeners ASAP.
I know.
Come on,
HBO, if you're listening, send this.
Okay. One final note on this. What about our man Don Cheadle?
I mean, honestly, stranger things could happen. I know, like, he's obviously very beloved. He got the nomination. I just don't think it's gonna work. I don't think so.
I would like laugh so hard if he actually pulls this off. And
I mean, it would be incredible. Godspeed to Don Cheadle. He does, but
I love it. I mean, we know he's gonna get at least one more nomination next year, because I watched the Wonder Years pilot on which he's the narrator, and he has a lot to say, man. That was a very wordy pilot.
Nice. So there we go. Maybe that's an Emmy win for Don Cheadle next year. All right. Guest actress in a comedy, Maya Rudolph. I have her winning. It feels like that's a fait accompli.
Yeah, I have her too. And I have Jane Addams in second. And like,
Same.
I think we discussed last time of like how Jane would probably be the upset pick, but I don't know. I feel like it's better not to overthink this. And then also comedy actor.
So I was thinking the same thing. I was like trying to tie myself in knots with a lot of these to like think of the reasons why. And then I was like, why am I doing this? Just let's go with the very obvious choice. And that's why I have Dave Chappelle winning for comedy actor instead of like Morgan Freeman. But I have Morgan Freeman second.
Yeah, same. I would not be shocked at all if Morgan pulls it off. He's literally the only non-SNL guy there.
That would be the reason why, right? He's the only non-SNL guy. But I'm like, yeah. Chappelle won this 4 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever year it was, right? And
I mean, the only thing I'll say about it is like Chappelle's like post-election episode last time was a lot more memorable than this recent one.
I don't really remember anything except for his monologue. So that's
I don't
maybe
even
an
remember
issue.
that. I just remember like because that was the night of when like Biden like formally accepted, the day
Yes.
like they actually called it. And then I just remember the whole thing was being like the show only had like 90 minutes to replicate Kamala's
Right.
Kamala's like white suit. So
Yeah. So, but I still have winning. I think he's gonna win. We'll see. Moving on. So we got so many of these. We'll just blow through some of these because I think we're kind of in agreement on a lot of these. Reality host. I wanted to pick Nicole Byer so badly, but I'm sticking with RuPaul just because of precedence. And though I would love to see a Nicole Byer upset, so I have RuPaul.
yeah, I mean 6 in a row. I don't know what else is there to say.
There's not much. I was just like, I guess like this is the kind of thing, and we kind of talked about this. We'll talk about it probably next week with like last week tonight. At what point what does it take when you're on this kind of run? What does it take for you not to win? Because like in theory, like RuPaul is not like getting the hosting performance is as good, it's not losing steam. So it's like still good. Then how do you end up losing in these? I guess that's just like an unanswerable question. Or
I mean, like Jeff Probst won the first 4 years of this award's existence, and then they just dropped him completely. So I guess they just have to drop RuPaul.
It has to happen quick. Like just like I give up, you're done. But yeah, okay, RuPaul. TV movie. This remains one of the
most important category.
Most important category, also most inscrutable, because I would say like, well, I have Sylvie's Love winning. I believe that's the top contender as well. I just went with the favorite because, and it's like quote unquote real movie that like Amazon did not release in simultaneously. It's like they made it as a TV movie. Sure, it's got Tessa Thompson in it. The other nominees are
run it
Uncle
for
Frank,
some film awards over the winter.
Yeah, Uncle Frank, Oslo, Christmas on the Square, and Robin Roberts presents Mahala. Is there any reason? What if Christmas on the Square wins? I was just thinking. I don't know.
I have thought about this a lot.
Okay.
So here's my like dilemma with this. Obviously, like I understand why like Sylvie's Love is in first place, but also like last year. Like Bad Education won, and it was up against like I think it was the other 4 movies, including like El Camino and also another Dolly Parton thing were on Netflix. So and before that it was Black Mirror when it was allowed to compete here for single episodes. So I feel like we don't have a lot of data on like what they go for. And then before Black Mirror it was like HBO movies. So then I'm like, do I go back to Oslo? But like no one even knows that exists.
No one even knows that exists. And I also honestly, not to besmirch anyone voting on our odds or anything, but I feel like this is one that's like kind of like a self-fulfilling thing because none of these are really things that people are talking about. No offense to the nominees. They're not like in the conversation.
Yeah, like they're not bad. Like it's just
like people are not focused on them. So it kind of it feels like the thing that you're going to go to it and be like, Sylvie's Love is in first place. I'm just going to pick Sylvie's Love. Now, maybe that's how Emmy voters are going to look or looked at it, right? When voting was going on and be like, what should I pick here? And like, oh, well, so everybody's saying Sylvie's Love will win. I guess I'll vote for Sylvie's Love, assuming they didn't watch these, which I know is maybe a bad faith interpretation of how people vote for the Emmys, but so it is. I keep looking at them. I'm like, maybe Dolly Parton. I don't know. I still have Sylvie's Love. Like, and even though I'm just going off on people just picking because it's the favorite, but I don't know. I could see Dolly winning.
Yeah, I can see Dolly winning, and I don't know. Like, I don't think Uncle Frank
I just don't think the other ones had enough. Like Uncle Frank, I didn't feel like was very well. Was like fine. It wasn't like bad reviews. It was fine, but it wasn't like a standout thing. Like Sylvie's Love, I think, did generate solid reviews. And like you said, it was kind of like a tweener last year where it's like, it's a real movie. I think it played it. Might have played it.
Movie.
Well, it might have played it like TIFF like 2 or 3 years ago, right? I think like or something. So it's like kind of like the Bad Education of this list because Bad Education also was like a theatrical film that ended up being bought by HBO and put out as an HBO movie. But so I think there's precedent there. That would be it for Sylvie's Love. That's why I have it. But I don't know. I could just see Dolly Parton winning because she's Dolly Parton. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it would be cool if Dolly Parton won this. maybe I should just switch to her just for that.
I mean, I'm going to put her up in second because I haven't touched this one in a little bit. So I'm doing that. I'm doing that live on this thing.
Wow.
Next category is variety sketch series. Such a tough one to predict. We have
Isn't
Saturday
this
Night
going
Live.
back to the main ceremony? I think it is. I don't know.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think we just haven't moved it, but
All right, well, for our purposes here,
yeah.
should we skip it then, or you want to keep doing it? I mean, it's Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
So
Spoiler alert.
spoiler is Saturday Night Live. Well, if we have to do it again next week, we'll do it again next week. It's fine. We can move on. There's not much to say about it. Variety Special Live.
Next. This is Celebrating America.
That's right. The Joe Biden inauguration special. The other nominees are Stephen Colbert's Election Night, Super Bowl, Grammys, and Oscars. I have Celebrating America winning. I'm a little bit biased because I interviewed the producers of this for our site, and I really enjoyed talking with them. But I do think it was a well-produced, very unique special. So that's why I'm picking it over the others.
Yeah, I think they also moved this one back to the main show. But yeah, I think I have that too. Now that I think about it. But like the other nominees, it's just, we've talked about this last time. Like, it's hard to say what they'll go for when, the live, like, in studio audience thing has won the past couple of years. And then before that, it's like the Tonys. So right. I think if an award show is going to win, it'll be the Grammys and not the
Same. So like, that's how I was looking at it, like here and trying to think again, like, let's just say like you're a person who voted on this and you're not super familiar with any of these, right? Or like, not like you don't really pay that close of attention to like this. The Oscars though was a unanimous, mostly disliked, let's say, right? Like people did not think it was very good as a show. The Grammys, while I think it was a better produced show, had very few things that I think broke out in the culture, right? Like I think it was like a thing that happened. It was pretty well done, but not like super sticky. Same with the Super Bowl halftime show. I think it was The Weeknd was the performer, but I don't really remember very much from it at all. Certainly compared to like past Super Bowl halftime shows, which are always filled with like, oh wow.
I mean, it's just like the meme of him
right. That was it. Just the meme of him like running around looking confused. There's no Lady Gaga jumping off the roof though. I think you need that kind of thing, not the Weeknd stumbling. The Colbert election night thing, I don't think anybody remembers a thing from it, to be perfectly honest. And it's running second. Celebrating America, I would argue, you had the great Katy Perry firework explosion thing at the end. That was awesome, really sticky, and like worked really well. So I think that's why it'll win.
Like impeccably choreographed with her arm, and it looked
great, like so great. And I was like, that's why I think it'll win. So, variety series directing, that's next, I believe. Let's see.
SNL.
I have SNL, and I think deservedly so, because I think because of the way the pandemic affected the show, any of these, I think specifically SNL though, is a Herculean task, right? Because there's so many, they were in studio. Now, no knocking on John Oliver, Stephen Colbert, Seth Meyers, or Bill Maher, but those are different kind of shows that didn't require maybe as many juggling and hurdles to overcome that SNL did. So that's my pick for SNL.
Yeah, I can't even. What was the last time they lost this category?
I don't even know.
I feel like it was in the last decade, but I don't remember what it was. Okay, whatever.
That's how long ago it has been. That Joyce can't think of it off the top of her head. That's how you know that SNL is definitely going to win here. And in a normal year, it would have won, but not even for here. Forget it. So yeah, SNL. That's great. Special directing is next. I have Bo Burnham. I'm going with my boy.
Same.
So the only other person I could have thought of was Spike Lee for American Utopia. But no, I think actually the Bo Burnham special is great. And like the ingenuity of how he actually made it, and the fact that there are so many shots in the special showing him making it, so you could actually see the directing, pushes it over the top. If you just happen to put it on for like 5 minutes, you would see it. So that's my pick.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many he can win, like Bo.
So he has 6 nominations. Yeah. I think he can win a lot, because I'm going to go the next category. Let's just go right to it. Special writing. I have him winning over Dave Chappelle.
Mm-hmm.
How about you?
Same.
Okay, so that's 2. And then I think the issue is going to be that it's probably not going to beat Hamilton for special in the end. Like it's up against Hamilton in
Yeah.
that category on like the main show or whatever. So that might be the tough one. We'll keep going though. The writing on all these great, but yeah, Bo Burnham writing, I think can push it over the top. I think people like songwriting. I think the songs like make it stand out. And there you go. Animated program. I picked Big Mouth. How about you?
What do I have? Where is it? I can't find it. I have Bob's Burgers, but
Nice.
yeah, I don't like feel any way about any of these. So I can be convinced to change this.
So honestly, the only reason I picked Big Mouth is again because it was like the favorite and people like the show. I actually think if I was going to pick an upset, I would pick the South Park special. I just think that was like sticky and like relevant in a way that maybe these others weren't. Yet, I don't know if it'll win. So that's why I went with it.
I don't know. Like, I think I did Bob's because it's one before.
Right.
I don't know. Remember when they gave it to The Simpsons 2 years ago?
I mean, The Simpsons is there. I guess it could win if people are just like
know.
throwing up their hands. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
So we're not super confident there.
We sound real convincing.
I mean,
Do not copy our predictions.
I guess like the reason to pick Big Mouth is because people are picking. It's like kind of like a self-fulfilling thing. The reason to pick Big Mouth is because people are picking Big Mouth. But I think if you wanted to go, like you said, Bob's Burgers, the past winner, I think this South Park thing would be is a unique thing to have win, and it's the only year it could win because they're not doing like, God forbid, I hope they're not doing another pandemic special next year.
Like the Delta.
They could, I guess, because this is still happening. But I'm like, Big Mouth, they could just do it again next year, right? So I'm like, I don't know. I could see the case for the South Park.
Yeah, and like the thing with Big Mouth is like also, Maya won last year for voiceover, so it's like it's already an Emmy winning show.
Right. So that's kind of like that's.
And it lost to Rick and Morty last year.
Right.
When everyone was upset that BoJack number one.
Short form animated. I know we could spend probably 2 hours on this, but let's just do a quick Love, Death, and Robots. It's my pick.
I have that as well.
So Netflix show, David Fincher produced. I'm like, that's fine. Sure. Let it win. I got nothing else to say.
I mean, I can see maybe, I can see like Robot Chicken winning. Yeah, but
So that's the second option and like pretty close in the odds, to be honest. But like most of our users have picked Love, Death, and Robots. I guess the Robot Chicken's the alternate. Voiceover performance. This one I think could be pretty competitive, even though our odds say otherwise. Julie Andrews, I have her winning for Bridgerton just because it's Julie Andrews. But I wonder, does Maya Rudolph actually could win, or does Stacey Abrams like pull off like a crazed upset because like she's Stacey Abrams? I don't know.
Like, is Maya gonna win the same 2 Emmys she won last year?
I mean, she really could. Literally the only reason I have Julie Andrews winning is because she's Julie Andrews. I just think that enough it would do.
I think I have Julie. Do I have Julie in first? Yeah, I have her in first. I don't know why I did that, but
almost everybody. She's got like incredible odds to win. So
I know.
it's like,
I would love to see Jessica Walter RIP win. And then I am like wary of Seth MacFarlane because he's won this a bunch of times and he wasn't nominated last year, so it's not like Maya has proven she can beat him, and he won 2 years ago. So
this could be a pretty competitive category. That's interesting. Let's see. Next is narrator.
What Don Cheadle will win next year. So
correct. This year it's I have David Attenborough winning for A Perfect Planet. He's nominated twice, also for The Year of the Earth Changed. I keep wanting to put Anthony Hopkins in there though for Mythic Quest. But I just am not sure
because of like the David possible vote split. Or
yeah,
because he's like Anthony Hopkins and he won an Oscar.
So like there you go. I don't know. Who do you have?
I have Attenborough too for Perfect Planet. Like he is the 3-time defending champion and one of our greatest voices, our greatest naturalists. And I don't like, I understand like the argument for a vote split, but I feel like they probably, like, more people probably would have seen A Perfect Planet more than The Year the Earth Changed, which is
I think
understandable.
that's why. Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. And then like Anthony Hopkins, yes, he can win. I think for that same reason I did not put him, because like that, like Mythic Quest is also on Apple.
So that's the
But like
issue. I think
he
is
can
that
win on his name alone, I
exactly.
guess.
It would be just. I think it would just be his name. I'm not sure a lot of people actually watched it, so that's a tough beat.
I don't know. It kind of also reminds me of, like, remember a couple years ago when Angela Bassett was nominated, and she was like heavily predicted because she's never won before, and I was just like, it's gonna be David Attenborough for Our Planet.
So David Attenborough, congratulations on another Emmy.
Another Emmy.
Structured reality program. I have Queer Eye. It seems like the overwhelming choice here. How about yourself?
Yes, same, Queer Eye.
Shark Tank would be, I guess, the alternative, but I'm not going to go there. Queer Eye for the win. That's fine.
Yes.
Unstructured reality program. Boy, I really wanted to pick Becoming so much, and I had it in there for a long, long time. But I'm going with RuPaul's Drag Race Untucked, just again because I think it's like the favorite, and they love RuPaul. So that's my reasoning.
I think I have that too. Let me see. Yeah, and I don't know why. I think I just defaulted to it and I wasn't really thinking about it. Like, I will say, like, it hasn't won before here. So I don't know. Maybe I should change it to something else.
So the reason I would pick Becoming is because then we get LeBron James and Emmy, right? Like,
yes, I have that in second. Yeah.
I have that in second also, and I had it winning for a long time, just because of that. Because I feel like if you're an Emmy voter and you want to go see the Lakers, maybe it's nice to be like, "Yo, LeBron, I voted for you to win an Emmy, and you won. So give me some courtside
He'll
seats."
win an NBA championship and an Emmy within a calendar year, even though he didn't defend the title
Yeah.
this year.
So I'm like, I just think I'm like, oh, I could see that being like a carrot to have that show win. But we'll see, I guess. I don't know. I just can't go against the grain. I don't want to, but if I was going to, it would be Becoming. Let's see what's next. Let me see. Sorry, I lost my page. Documentary series. Allen versus Pharaoh. I have that winning for HBO. Pretty widely acclaimed, very controversial subject, but I think a lot of people really responded to it, and there you go. Yeah,
I have that too, and who do I have in second?
According to our odds, it would be Pretend It's a City and Secret of the Whales.
Yeah,
are both running neck and neck. Secret of the Whales, or Secrets of the Whales, excuse me. I think they did a really good job like promoting it. But I just don't think it's going to win. I think the weight of Allen versus Pharaoh is like a bigger deal.
Yeah, I feel like that would like stand out more to people if you're not familiar with any of these. Like, this is not like, one of those years where like a doc series was like a cultural phenomenon, like last year with like The Last Dance, or right. Even Tiger King last year. So I feel like you see like Allen v. Pharaoh, like you're like, ooh. Yeah. Even if you've never seen it.
And then seemingly, again, speaking of like the standing out, the next category, documentary special, Framing Britney Spears, I have winning. It's pretty much an overwhelming favorite for the same reason I think you just said. Of all these shows or all these documentaries, all of them actually quite good. Tina, the Bee Gees, Social Dilemma, and Boy State. The Framing Britney like kind of basically launched the more public conversation about Free Britney, at least beyond like social media, mainstream outlets covering it. And obviously that's led to like the potentially end of her conservatorship and stuff like that. So I think Framing Britney is like a easy pick here.
Yeah, I'll probably switch to that because I haven't updated this in a while. But yeah, I have that in second right now. I have like the Bee Gees in first, actually. Nice. But yeah, I can just see everything that's happened with her conservatorship, and especially, I mean, voting is over, but like yesterday, like, her dad ended. So
right.
And then like her testimony in June was crazy. And I feel like there is like a lot of sympathy for her, and maybe that like encouraged people to check out this documentary if they hadn't yet, when they just like saw all the commotion around her testimony in June.
Totally agree. Documentary filmmaking is next. I have Welcome to Chechnya. I switched to that, but I've had Dick Johnson Is Dead for so long in there. And it was so well received out of Sundance 2 years ago or two Sundances ago. I really thought it could go far as like an Oscar contender. It never really did. And I was like, oh, the filmmaking is so ingenious, but so is Welcome to Chechnya. And that had the Oscar nomination as well. So I'm just going to go there.
Yeah, I have Chechnya, and I'm very excited for next year when Oscar hopefuls can't double dip anymore.
Yes. The next category is hosted nonfiction series or special. The top contenders are my next guest needs no introduction with David Letterman and Oprah with Meghan and Harry. I believe I went Oprah, Meghan and Harry. I think the lure of Oprah and Meghan and Harry is going to be greater than David Letterman interviewing like Kanye West or whatever happened in the season of that show. So that's my pick. No offense to David, he was a legend.
I think I have Dave. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could see Oprah winning. I have not seen that special because I like do not care about that at all.
I did not see it either, but I know everything about it because it was wall to wall on social media for like 2 days. And I watched all the clips and I watched every YouTube video about like shortened video about it. So yeah, I think that has like a great chance of winning. According to our odds, this one is pretty close. Oprah with Meghan Harry's in first, but more users have Letterman over Oprah. Interestingly enough.
I mean, what deserves to win is Tucci. So
Tucci's great.
Yes.
Main title design, I have WandaVision. Pretty cool titles.
Mm-hmm. Same. And I think we talked about this before, but it's like, I wonder if people will just like think of the fake titles like within the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the real titles are great too.
But. Yeah. Main title theme. I have WandaVision, but I really think that Ted Lasso could win here. I have it in second. I think that the theme is like pretty recognizable. People like it. And it's by an actual like major musician in Marcus Mumford. It's
when
buried
Marcus
in our
Mumford
odds.
will win an Emmy before Carey Mulligan wins an Oscar.
Yeah, no one is picking it. It's buried almost at the bottom, behind Flight Attendant, Bridgerton, and WandaVision, the winner. I just could see. I especially think that it could win because Ted Lasso is going to win like many Emmys. So I think if people are just like going chalk on this, they might just go, I like Ted Lasso. I know the theme. I could sing it. I'm going to just like vote for it.
Yeah, I can see that, I guess. I don't know. I have WandaVision.
I mean, I do too, but I'm just saying.
And I just, again, I also feel like they could also think of like the fake themes in the show.
Sure.
You know, and actually my favorite theme here is the Flight Attendant theme, which is incredible. And I really want to like pick it, but I don't think I will.
Yeah.
Like that's such a fun, like jazzy, like jaunty theme, and it's like it fits the tone of the show really well. I don't know. In like if in like an alternate universe, I would probably pick it.
Yeah.
But I think I'll just stick with WandaVision.
Music for series is next. I have Mandalorian. I think this one I think Ludwig Göransson won last year here, right? Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great music. Love it. The runner-up will be The Crown. I think the issue with The Crown is that the main title is the best part and most memorable, and it's not really the thing that is nominated here. It's the music for the series. So Mandalorian is my pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna do Mando. It's won before, and I don't like the other nominees. Like they're all like good, but I don't know. Like if it's not Mando, I guess it would be The Crown just because it's the series favorite.
Yeah,
but I don't know, because like it's like even before Mando, like we don't have like any extra data to go on since it's like Game of Thrones that won, you know.
Right. Music for limited series, I have Queen's Gambit. That score rules. It is so good. I love it so much. I could see WandaVision pulling an upset here just because it's WandaVision, and I think people know the music and like Marvel, and like maybe they're just not gonna think it through. But I'm way in on that Queen's Gambit score. I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, I have Queens, but I'm also wondering if like WandaVision would just dominate the music categories, maybe
It
except for like
could.
music supervision.
Yeah.
But for like actually like composition wise, like it could do like a full sweep. I think I have that in second, and then I have our boy Nicholas Bertel in third.
Nice. Same. Good score though for Underground Railroad.
Yes.
Love it. Music and lyrics is next. This one is, I think,
this is hard for you.
It is. I've
Or
gone
is it
back and
not?
forth. The top two contenders are WandaVision and Bo Burnham. I'm going WandaVision because I just think if you're going on the Bo Burnham is a cumulative success, and I love comedy. That's the nominee here for him. But I think the power of the special is all of the music put together, and I think in one versus the other, if you're going Agatha All Along or comedy, Agatha All Along would win. So that's why I have Agatha All Along.
Yeah, I feel like that was much more of a moment. And whereas I feel like with like Bo's songs, it was just kind of really concentrated in that like, maybe like first weekend or two when it dropped, and I agree. Like, I think if he were able to submit like the whole, I mean, like that wouldn't be a fair fight, obviously, but it's kind of like you like look at it as a whole. I don't know. I mean, like if you were him, like which song would you have submitted?
I would have done White Woman's Instagram. I think that one is way more memorable, and like, or I would have done Welcome to the Internet, which also is like pretty memorable, and like had like videos that he could have like promoted with it. Comedy is great because it sets up the entire premise of the special, but it's a good song. But I just think like the other ones as like individual things stand out more than the comedy one. So I don't know. And then this is the last category here. We should actually burn through this because if we want to, we have a few minutes left.
No one is here anymore.
Music supervision. I May Destroy You has been like the favorite here for a long time, but I picked Queen's Gambit because the episode that they submitted for this is the one where she's dancing around like drunk, having her breakdown, and it's like Venus is the song playing, right? Like I forget who it's by. I'll look it up. But I was like, that's a really memorable part of the show. And I think if people are paying attention to it, and I think Queen's Gambit overall is a stronger nominee than I May Destroy You. So that's why I switched to Queen's Gambit.
Yeah, I think I May Destroy You. I have Queen's Gambit in second, but I agree about that episode. Even though I have WandaVision third, I could also see it just winning this too. Although I don't think like it's like the songs like that it had are as memorable as like its original music, it's hard because Maisel's won like the last 3 years.
Right. So if you go by that though, I think Queen's Gambit is also a favorite then because it's same period.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
I know. Yeah. Like the first winner in this category was Big Little Lies, and that was just like a lock for it because like the music on that show was great.
Yeah. I mean, all of these are none of these I think are as good as Big Little Lies. Let's just say that.
It's true.
From a music standpoint.
Like none of these have the same taste as what's her name? Chloe, like Reese's daughter.
Yeah. So those are our Creative Arts Emmys predictions. They're this weekend. The shows are Saturday and Sunday, right? I think one on Saturday. What is it? One
on Saturday, 2 on Sunday.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll talk all about that next week. Joyce, we have to get going here and wrap up, but just briefly, do you want to hear? We want to set up some of the Oscars.
Tell everyone about your trip to Telluride and what you're predicting for the Oscars right now.
So I went to Telluride. I got to see a lot. The movie that surprised me the most, I'd say, and we kind of talked about this before we started, was King Richard, because I think a lot of people were like, Will Smith is going to probably be a Best Actor contender for this movie, but the movie might not be very good or / be like a Blind Side or something similar where the movie's not super strong. But the movie's really strong. I think it's good. It was a real crowd pleaser. Just anecdotally talking to people, and Telluride, it was one of like the 2 movies that almost everybody was like, it's good. And like, even if you're like from like from like very easy, like, typical, who you'd imagine like as typical awards voters and like pundits, to like very stern critics who are like more austere or whatever, like King Richard. So I think that was a big surprise for me as like a best picture contender. I definitely, like, having seen it, I'm like, with 10 nominees, I would be truly shocked if it did not get a best picture nomination. And I think it could get like best screenplay, best supporting actress, best song. There's a Beyonce song. And so like I could see that doing really well.
What did
The
you
other one
learn
that
about
people,
tennis?
and what's that?
What did you learn about tennis from the movie?
So I used to play tennis a little, so I kind of knew about it. I'll tell you what, I appreciated that one of the main villains in the third act is Arantxa Sanchez Vicario, and I had not thought about her.
I love Arantxa.
I had not thought about her in a long time. If you like her, you probably won't like the movie. Kind of makes her out to be like a villain, but
Mistake.
so. But I hadn't thought about her in like literally like
greats.
so many years. So I was like, oh, this is cool that she's actually in it. Everything else I think is going to be, it'll be interesting to see the responses. I think like Spencer will be pretty polarizing. That's the Kristen Stewart one, but Kristen Stewart's really great in it. Power of the Dog, I think, will be an interesting one to talk about, though I think Jane Campion is very strong as a director. The movie that most pundits really loved was Belfast, Kenneth Branagh's movie, which could be a potential Best Picture nominee, I guess, and also like its cast is pretty good. I will say that, Catriona Balfe, is that how you'd say it, from Outlander?
It's Katrina.
Katrina.
Yeah.
So she's great in it, and I think people really like her. One of the things I think will be interesting about this year's awards race is there's a lot of potential like stan culture icons. So you have Outlander fans.
It's gonna be way worse than it was last year.
Because you have Outlander fans, you could have potentially Kristen Stewart fans, Outlander fans, and Beyonce fans all lined up to watch these Oscars.
Yeah, and then I mean, there's also like the Jodie Comer stands coming, waiting in the wings.
So did not screen yet, but I heard that she's great in it. I didn't see it though. Honestly.
Yeah, and then there's also like, I'm excited for like the camp of like the Eyes of Tammy Faye.
Yeah. So those are coming next. So like basically now that was Telluride and Venice. Most of these same movies debuted between the two. And then you have Toronto will have Eyes of Tammy Faye as like a big one. The Humans is a big one, I think.
But you were also saying before we started that like you're not sure you saw like a Best Picture frontrunner, even though it seems like ostensibly it might be Belfast.
I think that's right. I'll be curious to see how it plays out. I think that the movies that I saw that will be very serious Best Picture contenders would be King Richard, Belfast, Power of the Dog. All seemingly would get like Best Picture nominations, especially with 10 nominees. I don't know if any of those are the eventual winner though. And then looking at the list, I'm still trying to figure out like what would win. I think Power of the Dog will be like a runaway critical favorite, seemingly. And I think there will be a humongous push for Jane Campion and Best Director. So that leads me to
be the first woman to return.
Correct. And like she hasn't made a movie in 12 years. I have both of them. I have Power of the Dog right now is winning Best Picture in my very, 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 very early odds. But I'll be wondering if like, I don't know, in the end, do you want like what? It's always like, what does the Academy want to have win? And then like, is there like a rooting factor? This year, I think we had Nomadland and there was way more support for Chloe, seemingly in Best Director. Everyone expected her to win. She did. And then the picture was like, well, is it going to win? It did win, but like, were there other options? And I'm wondering if this year, if Power of the Dog is like Nomadland, are there more, not lighthearted, but more like universally liked or more, like movies than Power of the Dog? Then, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think there was like an Argo last year or this year to compete with like Nomadland. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
like,
also like last year, it was, so many films got pushed into this year.
Correct. So I'm like, oh, like if there's like, I mean, again, I'm just saying these two because I just saw them and like, there's obviously a long time and I don't think it'll come down to this, but I'm like, if you have King Richard on one side and Power of the Dog on the other side, I think few will dislike King Richard. I think it's like very universal and like very easy to like and very easy to root for. And I think Power of the Dog is definitely more critically acclaimed and much bigger swing as like a piece of art. And I wonder if you put those two next to each other, do people, if they're voting with their heart, are they just going to be like, King Richard? I like that movie. It was fun. It made me cry. I don't know.
I feel like with like the response that like the cross appeal of King Richard will really, it can make it like a top 5 BP.
That's what I was thinking
contender,
too.
you know, like not just like one of like the bottom 5, like who just got in because there's a hard 10 this year, you know?
Yeah.
So and I've always felt like Will like needed it to be like a Best Picture nominee to win Best Actor, since there's such heavy correlation between those two categories.
Yeah. I think, I mean, again, I don't want to like sound like a dummy making like an Oscar prediction like on September 8th, but I would say that like Will Smith is a very, 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 very strong Best Actor contender. That's what I'll say.
I like I told you before, I think he's gonna win SAG, like easy, and he really would have benefited from the Globes because he's just like the perfect type of like movie star, like good serious actor that they would go for. But you were saying they would push the movie in comedy.
I could see them if it was the Globe still existed and like this was still happening like normal. I think you could make a case that King Richard is a comedy because there are elements in it where you'll go, "Ha, that's funny," even though it is like a family drama at times. But
like Battle of the Sexes.
Yeah, it's a little. I mean, it's actually not as funny as Battle of the Sexes because I think Battle of the Sexes did have more humor in it, honestly. Yeah, I mean, like if you go like just we can wrap this up and like I think King Richard comes out in November. Warner Brothers will release it in theaters
like right
on
before
HBO
Thanksgiving.
Max. So I think it'll be a big, whether or not people see it in the theater, people if it's coming out right before it's like the perfect movie. I think that you could say like it's Thanksgiving night. Once we watch with the family, we're gonna put on King Richard, like that kind of thing. I think it's actually really wise positioning on their part. But I would
also add that when I was at the US Open over the weekend, like in the stadium, like on the Jumbotron, basically like every 2 changeovers, they were playing the trailer for King Richard. And then like my friend, she looked at me like during one, she's like, they made that a movie? Like, why is it like, well, her thing was like, why is it about him and not them?
So that's the other thing too. I mean, I'll be perfectly transparent. When I was sitting down to watch it, it was the first night of Telluride. It was like the big premiere. And I was like, that was one that I think at least it was a little unexpected. I would say like Telluride doesn't release the lineup until like the day of or whatever, the day before. And I just did not expect that to be there because it's a big Hollywood movie with a major movie star, right? Like you would think like Telluride, like Belfast is like a perfect movie for there because it's like a smaller indie kind of thing with like stars, but not like
TIFF.
Right. King Richard does scream TIFF, right? It's like a huge movie. With
and
like
it's not going there.
It's not going there. And I was like, wow, I'll check this out. Because like, obviously I feel like I'm obligated to see it. So I was like going in like with that thinking and I saw it was like 2 hours and 20 minutes. And I'm like, so these are like
it's also way too long for me.
I'm a little on edge here. And I was completely won over. And it's like, and for what you're saying too, like why is the movie about King Richard? Or why is it focused on him instead of the Williams sisters? But the way they present it, I think in the way they actually show like a lot of the things that you would think are negative, or maybe like he's like a quintessential like stage parent or whatever it is, they actually have like it spells out the reasons why he's like behaves like that. And also it does show that he has a care for the kids and it just really works. I just think it's like really well done. I was like trying to think in my head, like the nominations, it could be like picture, actor, screenplay, which I think would be an original screenplay, song for the Beyonce song, potentially supporting actress for Anjanou Ellis. Though I think that category is pretty competitive. I do think like she'll be like a big standout. I think score could be a contender. It's a Chris Bowers is the composer, and maybe hair and makeup because of like Will's transformation. He looks like it is done mostly through hair and makeup a little. Like if they did like especially hair, I was like that could be like 7 nominations, and then you're not even thinking like Ronaldo Marcus Green is the director. I don't think he would get nominated because that seems like there's a lot of like big directors, right? Like Steven Spielberg and Jane Campion and stuff. But I'm like, who knows? I don't know. I mean, like stranger things have happened, I guess, but like it could get like a lot of nominations. That was my main takeaway.
Yeah, I could see that happen. It's just like it could be one of those movies where you're kind of not underestimating it, but like you think it's like gonna be one thing and then it just exceeds your expectations. And and like I mean their story is like incredibly compelling because like I mean tennis is like before them, like an incredibly white sport, and he knew nothing about the sport, and he just decided, I'm going to make my daughters tennis stars.
Yeah, and it's all like spelled out right in like the first 5 minutes. It opens with like a montage of him trying to get like these rich white a-holes to like pay attention to his kids and like kind of coach them. And like he very much like does not shy away from the idea that like tennis is like a white sport, and like the challenges that they had to face as like Black women playing tennis and playing this sport. So I don't know. I just think that like it'll be interesting to see. And like it's so early, who could say what's going to happen? But it is like, it would be an interesting test case too for a movie, because it's the Ronaldo Marcus Green did Monsters and Men and then Joe Bell, which doesn't exist. But he is like a very indie movie director, basically started out as like, it's from a Sundance Lab, I think. And the story was like, yeah, like he won the Monsters and Men won at the year that Jada Pinkett was on the Sundance jury. And then
she recommended him to Will.
He basically met him, or like they hooked up, and that's how the movie got made. Obviously a lot more went involved, but that was the origin story. And I'm like, I think like mixing like the heart of like an indie filmmaker like that with like a big studio and big star is like kind of like an irresistible narrative for Hollywood to be like, look, like we're supporting younger artists or up and coming artists, but also like being able to produce these things that could reach big audiences. I don't know. I'll be curious to see how far it could go, but I think Will is like a big help to have him like as like the center.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that like Will is like overdue
for
an Oscar. Like he has 2 nominations, the first one which was 20 years ago. So he could be against Denzel again and lose to him.
That'd be pretty crazy. Yeah, we were looking at like best actor. So like coming out of Telluride, the 3 biggest actor performances were Will, Benedict Cumberbatch in The Power of the Dog, which everybody seemingly universally liked and like expected to him to kind of like move on to get his second nomination. And then Peter Dinklage in Cyrano, who is really great.
Which was your favorite movie?
It was my personally favorite movie of the fest. But I think it was, whenever I told that to people, I could just see on their face, they were like, what planet are you from? So that was a tough beat. But I really loved it. And I know
what? Just stand your ground. Okay.
I will. And I think Peter Dinklage is wonderful in it. It's like a great performance for his talents. If you're listening, you're like, what is Cyrano? Joe Wright made a musical version of Cyrano de Bergerac. It's written by actually Peter Dinklage's wife, Erica Schmidt. They did it as like an off-Broadway or stage production. And then now it's like the movie. The music is by the Dessner brothers, who you might know from The National or Taylor Swift. Aaron Dessner did a lot of the folklore
and
stuff.
Evermore.
So it's like a full-on musical, like truly singing, and they're singing like modern songs in period. And yeah, Haley Bennett is Roxanne, and Kelvin Harrison Jr. is Christian, who like falls in love with Roxanne and vice versa. And then Cyrano is in the background. That's Dinklage. I thought the 3 of them were wonderful. I think Kelvin Harrison, I think I saw Richard Lawson write this maybe, or I forget who it was, but somebody was like, he should win an Oscar within like 5 years. Like, I believe that after seeing this. He's so good in it. And he's really charming. I don't know if he would be a supporting actor contender. I don't think Haley Bennett is kind of like a tweener. She could be best actress or best supporting actress, depending on what they want to do. But yeah, Dinklage is great. And like, it's like he's like really funny and really charming and really like angry. And like, it does all like the Game of Thrones stuff well, like, like that kind of like
I can see him getting in even if the movie doesn't get anything else.
Yeah, I think it does feel like that. And Telluride, not that this means anything, but like Telluride had like 3 tributes that they do. And the 3 tributes were for Riz Ahmed for Encounter, which I don't think will support him to a Best Actor nomination, but he was Best Actor nominee last year, obviously. And then Dinklage and Jane Campion. So I was like, if they're building the narrative like at this festival, like trying to like start what people are going to be trying to talk about for the award season, like Dinklage is probably a
Dinklage could be like Cranston, like this iconic 4-time Emmy winning actor on a beloved show, and then who like transitions within a couple years of the show ending into a Best Actor nomination. And Trumbull similarly was not entirely
that's true
received.
And I will also say that Cyrano, like I think everything about Cyrano and Dinklage is way better than Trumbo was. So if Cranston got in,
that was also a weak year that when Cranston got in. That was when Leo won.
It remains to be seen, like we were saying before, like this Best Actor race, could be really, who knows? I mean, like
Yeah.
it's so early. Who knows what anything is? But it's like it could be strong, could be weak. I mean, everybody's expecting like Denzel for Macbeth because it's Denzel.
And it's
But
mixed up.
we'll see. Joyce, I feel like we'll talk all about this later, but next week we'll come back with
next we'll do more Emmys and Oscars,
yeah,
apparently.
it's gonna be great.
We're just gonna bridge to 2 seasons.
What can we call it? Emmys, maybe. OMMYS.
Yes, or Eskars.
Eskers. That's good. I like Eskers. All right. See you later, Joyce.